You're a holiday powerhouse. You host the dinners, shovel neighbors' sidewalks, and make everything from scratch. You definitely don't need help making the holidays happen. But Duncan's Holiday Blend Coffee? A warming medium roast complete with sweet notes of dried fruit and molasses. Or a cranberry orange muffin made with real cranberries just might convince you a little help never hurt. Especially the hot caffeinated kind. America runs on Duncan. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued and non-withdrawable free bets that expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio. Go live date. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast, bringing you the latest from the world of sports, DFS, and gambling. With over 5 years of hot takes and millions of downloads later, I guess he's been doing something right. Now, sit back and listen to one of the sharpest minds in the game. Here's your host, Dwayne Callender.
All right, folks, we have a very, very busy slate of sports today. With we got the third place matchup in the World Cup, which we'll talk about briefly, but a full slate of games for the NFL. But without much further ado, I'm going to bring my dad online because we'll talk some NFL and also talk about the World Cup final between Argentina and France because we have some thoughts about how that's sliding up today, and plenty more to go. So, Callie, I'll let you lead off because we got a number of interesting games in the NFL today between the Vikings team that we know is fraudulent, but man, that Colts team, we always kept calling out Matt Ryan being washed. I have no idea what to expect out of that game. Even though I know that Vikings team is fraudulent. And then you got the middle matchup, the sandwich matchup between the Ravens without Lamar versus the Browns team that Stefanski's finally getting exposed because, Deshaun Watson was not going to be the magic cure-all to that team's woes. And then the nightcap between the Dolphins and the Bills. So I'll let you lead off on which game you want to tackle first, if you want to get into the Dolphins-Bills or not.
Well, my problem with Stefanski, I know they had a lot of injuries and stuff, but let me tell you something. That team should not be where it is because coming into the season, the biggest problem with that team is that, if they can just tread water until Deshaun Watson is ready and whatever. Let me tell you something. You can ask for a better quarterback play than they got from the backup.
Yeah, Brissett played well. They should have won more games. Stefanski cost them the Jets game, and he cost them the Chargers game that the Chargers gave away to them. With two of the dumbest.
I don't want it, but you don't want it. I don't want it. You don't want it because with that dumb fourth down call that the Chargers made, and just handed the game to them, and instead of just getting at least 8 yards, they were throwing. He threw He threw one pass into the end zone. He threw one pass way down. Why are you calling these plays? You don't need that. You need a field goal. You just win the game and get off the field. And for some reason, I don't know, nobody said anything about it.
Because they were so dumbfounded by Brandon Staley going for it on fourth down from his own 38. Because it was such an idiotic decision. No one contemplated how dumb the Browns' play calling was once they got that gift. That's how ridiculous that game was. Or the fact that they somehow lost the game to Joe Flacco up 13 with a minute 33 left when they could have just ran out the clock. Like, there are things with that Browns team that Baker Mayfield was a cancer on that locker room. No doubt about it. But it wasn't as though they had good coaching either. Like, that team has been failed so miserably by the key pieces that you should have. Quarterback and coaching.
Oh, yeah, that you know, Stefanski gets a break because of other things that's going on, so he flies under the radar. But I mean, Sunday he made some dumb calls in that game against Cincinnati that, you know, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was just, you know, like that fourth down play when he brings in Jacoby Brissett. And to do what? I thought he was bringing in Jacoby because he has the size and they was going to, you know, try to sneak for the fourth down, not to throw the pass. I mean, you can't explain to me your logic with that play.
If anyone is actually trying to argue that Jacoby Brissett has a bigger arm than Deshaun Watson, I think people need to, like, reevaluate themselves, because, like, if Deshaun Watson can't throw deep anymore, that's a problem. But that's a problem that you need to address before you brought him back on.
Yeah, you need to start getting refund for some of that money. You know, so and he showed me last week that he could throw the ball. He's not accurate because he's a little rusty, but it's I don't know that if he doesn't, if the Browns don't think that they need a change, well then, you know, good luck to them, because it's you know, they should not be losing those games. First of begin, Sunday I'm watching the game and I'm like, why is Nick Chubb not running the ball? The Browns supposed to be a run-first team. When you have a back like Chubb, you're a run-first team.
Well, this is the weird part about the Browns in the second half of the year. I don't know what's been going on because it hasn't necessarily been offensive line injuries. But I've been watching the tape, and ever since that Houston game, I don't know if teams got a bead on their run stunts or what's going on. But for whatever reason, they haven't been able to run as effectively, and as a result, they didn't run enough to begin with. That's always been the issue with the Browns. They don't run the ball enough with Chubb to begin with. But even when they did run, they were still peeling off huge chunks of yards. Now, the last couple of weeks, they haven't been able to run effectively at all, necessarily. They've been closer to a little bit less than league average, and because they don't run at all, Nick Chubb's been rendered relatively, you know, like average, because he's not getting any workflow. And forget about Kareem Hunt. Like, Kareem Hunt is, like, essentially, like, you know, just another guy. It's like the craziness about the Browns is that, you know, the season that the Jets are having is the season the Browns should be having. Like, that's the thing. It's like the Jets are in the spot the Browns are supposed to be in. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, you know, they didn't have Deshaun Watson. If you look at the team rosters, the Browns are a better team than the Jets. They are flat out a better team than the Jets. But you see the difference between the Jets and the Browns? The Jets may not have the talent in all the key positions. They may not have the offensive line of the Browns. But guess what? They play hard for their coach, and their coach actually tries to put together a somewhat manageable game plan week to week. Never see that from Stefanski. And that's supposed to be an offensive guru, and he still hasn't figured out what the best way to run that offense is.
No, because it looks like the Browns come out and they have, it's like, okay, we're going to flip the coin and let's see what's going to come down, heads or tails. Heads we run, tails we don't run. If you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in your backfield, I'm thinking that team is going to have, it doesn't matter what down it is, they're going to have to stack the box. Because you have two guys that if they get through that first line, they're gone. So you're always going to have to stack the box. So you're supposed to always be able to at least throw a 5-yard pass and get away with it. And the Browns, I'm telling you, it's like I have no idea what they play. No idea.
But this is the part that infuriates me. Amari Cooper's still fine as a number one wide receiver. Dallas didn't need him anymore because CeeDee Lamb's there. But Amari Cooper's fine as a number one receiver on the outside. My whole issue with the Browns is Donovan Peoples-Jones has shown that he can run routes effectively. He should be used in a Julian Edelman type role in the slot, punishing teams because they're trying to stack the box to stop the run. Like the Browns offense, it makes no sense. If you were literally looking at how that team should be running, that offense should be humming because realistically with their run game and the fact that they got two receivers who are very good at what they do, you should not be struggling to convert third down conversions at all. You should be able to churn 12, 13, 14, 15 play drives. And yes, do the Browns manage to do it? Yeah, but more often than not, it's because Nick Chubb ends up having to carry the load and just pull off a couple of runs out of it, to bail them out. And it's crazy because it shouldn't be hard for them to score points. It really shouldn't be hard. But the drives that they have are more based off of the talent level than actually anything involving the coaching staff. That's how you know you need a coaching change.
Yeah. Look, when you watch a team like the 49ers, the way they balance, they keep your defense on balance because you don't know if they're going to run it, you don't know if they're going to throw it. Because it doesn't matter what it is, they will try to run the ball. And they got the runners that if you don't watch them, they could rip off 50 yards. So they keep you honest. And I don't understand how the Browns cannot balance that offense where you have to keep men in the box to watch the runners because you have two excellent runners. And the Browns, Sunday, I just kept scratching my head that they couldn't move that ball. You know, they really couldn't move the ball at all. And it's ridiculous. It's not like, the Bengals defense is playing, they're playing good, but it ain't like the Chiefs was moving the ball on them the week before. You know, that game went right down to the wire.
Yeah.
How is it that you can't muster offense to do anything? You know, I'm telling you, like I said, that Bronx, that is one team I could tell you, coaching is the problem.
Yeah.
Because they had a couple guys injured and stuff, but you know, I think that's why Jarvis Landry just said, I gotta get out of here. Yeah, you know.
But I also say with Vegas knows it too. Like, here's the crazy thing. The Ravens don't have Lamar. People knew the Ravens didn't have Lamar. The line was 2.5, open at 2.5. Maybe Lamar comes back. We got the announcement early. Lamar was not coming back for this game for sure. The line is only at 3. Like, Vegas does not respect Cleveland at all. And we know how poor the Ravens defense has been throughout the year and how Lamar has been trying to carry that Ravens offense. The Ravens are not a good offense. They're not a good offense. They don't have downfield weapons to stretch the field. They're not a good, truth be told, I don't think the Ravens are a good team. When you look at the parts, they do not play very well. Lamar's been carrying that squad, and you saw it last week where without Lamar, you know, they got the win barely, barely because this, it's just because of the competition they're up against. But I look at this game and I'm saying the Browns should win this game. The reason why I have my doubts and the reason why this line's still only at 3 is because Vegas knows this coaching staff ain't any good. And so it's a weird matchup because I don't know exactly, because I'm still trying to figure out how the Ravens are going to generate offense today, because they're not blocking well. They're running okay. They're not running great, but they're running okay. But defensively, like, Cleveland should be able to eat them up. They should be able to eat them up. But
who did Cleveland eat up for the season?
This is the issue. This is why the line's at 39. The line is at 39. You got a backup QB that's limited. Realistically, Cleveland should be able to put up 27 points on this defense. They should be able to. They should. Realistically, they should be able to put up 27 points. They really should. Like, there's nothing on the Ravens defense that should give Cleveland's offense any trouble. But we know we've been through this enough times with Cleveland this year that this is one of those games where I don't want to have anything to do with it. Because logically, I would want to bet the Cleveland side. But man, like, I can't trust this coaching staff.
I wouldn't put a dime that I found in the street on Cleveland. It's that offense looks so bad, and nobody can explain to me why. Because, like I said, if you don't see anything, you would say, oh, well, you know why? It's probably because the quarterback is suspended. You wouldn't realize that they got such good quarterback play all season long. I mean, I was way surprised that Brissett performed as good as he did.
Listen, you know what I always said. The Colts moving on from Brissett to Phillip Rivers was one of the dumbest decisions they made, because it handicapped them the rest of the way through.
They have never recovered from
They
that.
never recovered from that. Because
And it's not like if Rivers played bad. It's not that he played bad. It's just the position they put themselves in, that hole they can't climb out.
yeah.
And then they compounded it by bringing in Carson Wentz. So, you know.
Yeah, the Carson Wentz disaster. But well, let's start talking about the Colts, because it's the last stand for the Colts, who somehow can still make the playoffs at 4-8-1, because the AFC South is still the AFC South. Lord knows this division just kill it with fire. Like, you've got the Colts. Last stand, they could still technically make the playoffs. Don't ask me all the scenarios of how it needs to play out, but literally they could still make the playoffs somehow if the Titans mess up the final stretch of the year. But the Titans have lost 3 straight, so yeah, it's still the Jaguars and the Colts are still in play to win the division. Lord knows this division. Oh, all right, but.
Yeah, that one with the Titans, you can just forget the guys that are playing on the field. You just go to the front office and you just put all the blame down there, because they squeezed that team where all another team got to do is keep Henry honest. Give him some yards, but keep him honest. Make sure you stack the box against them, and you can beat them.
Yeah.
You saw that happen Sunday gone.
That's why the GM got fired.
Yeah, because the quarterback, it's not that he's a bad quarterback, but he's not a creative quarterback, so you got to give him some kind of weapon.
John Robinson got fired for being a cheapskate. He got fired for being a cheapskate because they went cheap with AJ Brown. He demanded a trade, and they flipped him for a first-round pick. Not that Treylon Burks is a bad first-round pick. He's a very talented wide receiver. He ain't going to be AJ Brown at least for another 2 years, if he ever gets to that level. But you had a Super Bowl contending team last year that got knocked out by the Bengals. You could have ran it back, and you opted to save money by not forcing Ryan Tannehill to renegotiate his contract. And then you still drafted a QB anyway to replace Tannehill. This is how idiotic that entire offseason was run. They pissed off Tannehill by saying, okay, you're not going to renegotiate your contract, we're going to draft your replacement. Well, he's pissed off anyway. He knows he's probably on a chopping block next year. Is he going to be that engaged this year? Probably not. A.J. Brown can't get paid now because you couldn't get Tannehill to renegotiate the contract. So they still had to trade A.J. Brown. You handicapped this entire year, and you're going to have to blow up the team next year. It's just such... That's why the GM... Robinson had to get fired. He had to get fired for that.
He dismantled the team, from the front office. It's the most ridiculous thing you ever want to see. Because, like I said, we all know who Ryan Tannehill is. Okay? It's not like he's going to win you games, but he's not going to lose you games, and he can help you win. But he needs help. And you saw that Sunday that when they bottled up Derrick Henry, it's been 2 weeks in a row when as soon as they cage Henry a little bit, they can't muster offense because you don't have anybody to stretch the field. It's amazing how people talk about that in Green Bay that they didn't give Rodgers enough thing, and they don't see that. I don't hear them making as much noise in Tennessee, and it's more glaring there.
Yeah.
It's because as good as Derrick Henry is, if you have stout defenders, good linebackers, you can control him. He'll get yards because, okay, here's this. Sunday, by the end of the first half, he was already over 100 yards. You know how many yards he got in the second half?
I think he was under 20.
No, he only got like 3 yards.
Yeah, it was a rough one. But the reason why is because they just crashed the box.
The team said, we don't care what happened. You got to control him. And it had that fluke fumble. Yeah,
but that wasn't the reason why they couldn't run the ball. There was actually no space to run the ball.
Yeah, it had that fluke fumble where it just bounced off and bounced into the guy's hand. Because if it bounces the right way, it goes out of bounds. They still have the first down, But it went the other way, and it's just they never recovered from that. They realized they stocked the box, and that's it. There's no more offense to come here.
Oh God! If I keep seeing highlights of Donovan Mitchell this year, I'm just gonna I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm tired of dealing with Knicks fans this year already. We aren't even a third of the way through the year, and I'm tired of dealing with Knicks fans complaining about R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett, you fought so hard to keep because you didn't want to trade R.J. Barrett for Donovan Mitchell. I can't wait for the season to be over. We're barely a third of the way through the year, and I can't wait for the NBA season to be over because I'm tired.
What are you complaining about? He scored 27 last night.
Oh God, it's just.
You don't like that?
Oh man, it's like they just show the highlights of how the Cavs come back and Donovan Mitchell being called the MVP. And I keep telling people this. It's not the fact that Donovan Mitchell is scoring averaging 30 a night. It's not that. It's the fact that you would have been actually further along in your rebuild to actually attract other prospective free agents down the line.
This is the thing that people don't see. They act as though, we wouldn't have done this or we wouldn't have done. I'm not saying that the Knicks was going to the playoffs or running fine the playoffs. The problem is this. If you had Jalen Brunson playing as good as he's playing, okay. If you have Donovan Mitchell with him, then you're looking, forget this year. You're looking at next year. If I add another piece, you get a good power forward, you rebuild. And then, like you say, people would actually consider, hey, wait a minute, maybe we could go to the Knicks, because if I go and I add with so and so and so, yeah, maybe we can make some noise. We can do this. We can do that. But you got to start. But the Knicks are running in place. And yeah, okay, they win 6 games in a row. Does it give you any confidence that we're going to be any better than we was?
The Knicks are at best a 6 seed. At best. Like that is your best case scenario in the East. Anyway, all right. Well, I got us off topic, so that's on me. But all right. So the Colts against this fraudulent Vikings team. The Vikings still winning games, but man, I can't wait to see when they get an awkward matchup, because they may actually win enough games to get the bye. But I can't wait to see when they actually have to go up against a real playoff team that can actually run the ball and put them in a bad situation, because Kirk Cousins has not played well enough to be considered a legitimate contender. This is Justin Jefferson getting enough separation to make things manageable. But it's not a case of the Vikings looking dominant in any way, shape, or form. The Vikings have talent. I'm not saying no. The problem is, every time you watch the Vikings play, they look so outright mediocre for vast stretches of the game, you can't take them seriously at all. And so it's one where, yes, they should be able to beat bad teams. That's not the question. The question is, how the hell are they going to beat a good team?
Let me tell you something. The Vikings is a team that walks around to me with false papers, because, I was listening to Greeny one day talking about how we should give the Vikings more respect because of the amount of close games that they won. And I'm like,
that's the reason why you don't give them respect, because those are all matchups they should have won easily.
Well, and not only that, all of those.
See, the thing is,
help from the other team.
The joke of it all is a team like the Giants that lacks talent in multiple positions all across the map. Yeah, you can say I don't respect the Giants. Yeah, because the Giants are not talented at all. They get by. But for a team like the Vikings, where you have talent up and down the offense and on the defensive side, you should not be scraping by as many games as you do. They should have lost that game against the Saints in London. They should have lost that game. Yeah. But they find ways of surviving. They should have lost against the Jets. The Jets cost themselves that game with some of their play calling down the stretch.
But let me tell you something. The first time they played the Lions, they should have lost that game.
Yes.
They should have lost that game.
Because people act as though that Cowboys game was an aberration. That wasn't an aberration. That's actually what happens when a good team actually executes against the Vikings. To me, the Vikings, while they should be better than what they are, they're not. To me, the Vikings are closer to the Giants than they are to the Eagles.
Oh yeah,
which is not a good place to be. They should be better than they are, but they're not.
Okay, let me show you something. if you take out some of those spectacular catches that Jefferson made, the Vikings might be treading water at 500. First of all, in that Buffalo game, some of those catches that he made, and I keep telling people, that one-handed catch that he made, if the defender tries to knock the ball down instead of trying to intercept it, that's an incomplete pass. But what he tried to do was intercept the ball because he's going at it with two hands while Jefferson is just going with one hand. And Jefferson just out-battles him and catches it with one hand. But if he just tries to remember, you're a defender. Defend the ball. Knock it down. Your team is leading. Knock the ball down instead of trying to catch it. So all these little things, and you might say, yeah, but they took advantage of it. Yeah, but you know what happens when people actually play it straight? Last Sunday happens.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happens. The game against the Commanders. What is Heineke doing trying to throw that pass? You're leading. You need to, run the ball and take time off the clock. He gave them a life with that interception. People don't remember these things. It's mistakes by the other team that bailed this Viking team out a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's not that they were playing so great. People was making dumb mistakes against them. You go back and check the first half of the season, and a lot of those close wins they have, and you're going to see the mistakes. And yes, you're supposed to capitalize on the mistakes of the other team. Yes, I know. Because turnover, you got to win the turnover battle. But when the other team is making there's turnovers and then there's dumb turnovers. And the other teams were making dumb turnovers against this Viking team. But they were winning the games and everybody only count wins. You see? So, as much as people, it's like the thing with the Jalen Hurts thing we're talking about. Well, he's not doing. Well, you know what he's not doing? He's not turning the ball over. He's not making dumb plays. Might not make spectacular plays, but he's not making dumb plays. People don't realize that's the hallmark of Tom Brady's career. It's not that he made all these spectacular plays. Is he never made dumb plays going down the stretch. So you always have to have your absolute A game against him in the fourth quarter. Yeah. So I have no confidence in this Viking team. No confidence at all. If I was a betting man, I would have money on the Lions last week because I think.
Oh yeah, I definitely loved the Lions last week. And here's the thing. As much as I make fun of Matt Ryan, the Viking secondary still gives up yards like a sieve. Like, you had Mike White lighting this secondary up. You had Jared Goff lighting this secondary up. You still got Jonathan Taylor to run the ball in between the tackles. Like, the Colts can win this game, even though the Colts aren't any good. They can win this game. It's not an out of realm possibility that the Colts pull off the upset here.
No,
to me, my thing is the Colts. You got the Colts at +4. You're telling me the Vikings are covering this game and winning by more than a field goal? I don't like it. It's like I don't want to touch the Viking side of this. I'd rather just take the Colts or throw it into a teaser and just tease it up to a double-digit spread. But, to me, I think the Colts can win this game because this Vikings team gives up yards, and you know that the Vikings, if you put pressure on Kirk Cousins to make plays, chances are he's going to have a screw-up here and there. So, to me, I think the pressure's more on the Vikings of let's lock down this top seed, and this is a perfect trap game. To me, I'd be more on the Colts side. Not that because I like the Colts, it's because I see the flaws of this Vikings team and how they can actually be exploited. But so we'll wrap up with like the Miami, the game in Buffalo. And we talked about this before the show. I don't like this spot for Miami in the slightest. Waddle's still banged up. It's at night. It's gonna be cold. The field's gonna be hard. You know what happened in the last game. Buffalo should have won that game in Miami. They got sloppy in the second half because that's what Buffalo does. They get very careless and lackadaisical, and it bit them in the ass. Tua should have never been allowed back in that game because he got the concussion in that game. How they could say whatever they could say it was back contusion that led to him stumbling and all the other BS they want to say. He had a concussion. He was wobbly. He recovered. It was a flash recovery, and he could still play. But it doesn't change the fact that he got a concussion. Doesn't change it.
Yeah.
Doesn't change it.
And defensive players have been suffering since then because they put in all those new rules with you can't land on the guy and you can't live. It's for all of this because they screwed up and put him back in the game. And he got injured again 2 weeks later.
No, not 2 weeks later. 5 days later. That's the problem. It's the league screw up. It was 4 days later. They put him back in on Thursday Night Football, which was insanity.
Yeah, and they figured out a way to punish the defense players for it. You can't throw him down. You can't do this and you can't do that. When it should not have been any of that. It should have been your fault for not keeping him out of the game and not letting him play that Thursday night game. It's some of the dumbest things, But they figured out a way to excuse them and blame it on the defensive players.
Yeah. But from my standpoint, the reason why I look at this, Buffalo can't screw around anymore. They cannot screw around anymore. Division's on the line here. If Buffalo locks this game down, they're going to win the division. Because even though they messed around with some of their games, they're going to be ahead enough of the Dolphins and Jets that they should be able to lock down the AFC East if they win tonight. To me, at a certain point, Buffalo got to start taking this seriously about what they want to do, and that's win the Super Bowl. It starts with getting a win like tonight because to me, I don't like this Miami squad right now with the injuries that they're racking up. You need Waddle healthy. The reason why they came back in that game against Buffalo the first go-around was Waddle. The Bills had Tyreek pretty well contained, and for the most part, they have been containing Tyreek even because they're so accustomed to him being on the Chiefs that they kind of use the same game plan where they go to too high, and they're forcing you to try to run the ball. The problem I see with the Dolphins is they haven't been committing to the run game. So, I'm not you've got Jeff Wilson is seems doubtful to play. They think it might be Mostert, but Mostert's banged. The Dolphins have injuries at multiple positions, especially at running back as well. Both their running backs are banged up, and they don't run the ball enough. I have major reservations about the Dolphins today because I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, well, if both your running backs are kind of banged up, I don't trust Jeff Wilson to be healthy. Mostert's banged up. You're not committing to the run anyway. How exactly are you planning on? Because if the plan is to just keep chucking it and hope Tyreek beats the Bills over the top, to me, I think it's another long night because the Chargers game, last week, I'm watching this game against the Chargers, and I'm saying to myself, the Chargers backups are playing better than the Chargers starters, which again is a reflection of how dumb the Chargers coaching staff is. But that's another topic for another day. But there were still opportunities to run the ball up front because of the way the looks the Chargers were giving them. They were going to give them the run game, and Miami didn't want to run the ball. So if you can't run against one of the worst run defenses in the entire league, how the hell am I supposed to expect you to run the ball against one of the best run defenses in the league? Because the Bills, when they give up rushing yards, it's when they're up. It's not when when it's a close game. You have to get your rushing yards when the Bills are up a couple of scores on you, and they're willing to let you get those yardage to bleed the clock. It's hard to run the ball against the Bills, but the Bills are going to force the Dolphins to run the ball because I think they're going to make sure Tyreek cannot get any one-on-one without help over the top. So they're going to get the too high look, and Miami's going to need to be able to run the ball. I'm not entirely trusting Miami's rushing game right now, given the injuries, and it's an issue because to me, I know people expect this to be a close game. It's a division game. Don't get me wrong, but this over is at 44 points. But the Bills are expected have got a 7.5 point spread because even Vegas is looking at this game saying, we think the Bills are going to take control tonight, and I'm having some issues with the Dolphins. Like, the Dolphins are not looking that strong heading into this matchup, and their style of play is not conducive to a cold night in Buffalo where it's windy and it's likely to be snowing tonight.
But I think that the Dolphins are going to be one of these teams that is going to leave the playoffs early. I'm telling you, because look, tonight is going to tell me a lot about that coach, because teams have figured out that if we play those receivers really tight so that you don't get separation, you put a guy over the top with Tyreek Hill, we can control him. He'll get a thing, but he won't beat us with those, long passes.
Yeah, but because it's like, again, the weather could change, but it's Buffalo. When they say there's going to be lake effects and they're expecting heavy snow, that they're not saying it's 3 to 5 inches. When they say heavy snow in Buffalo, they're talking 10 to 15 inches. When they say heavy snow, I want people to understand that your idea of snow and Buffalo ideas of snow are very different. So when they say it's going to be snowing during the game, like, this should be covering the field. Like, Miami's going to need to be able to run the ball. They're going to need to be able to run. I don't know. They have the commitment to run the ball 30 plus times tonight.
Yeah, but here's the problem. People's talking about the snow. Snow have nothing to do with it being cold. The problem is not just snow. It's as if it's cold. Because in Buffalo, more often than not, it's freezing and windy. It's not always because of the snow. Yeah, I know it snows a lot in Buffalo, but it's not just the snow. It's the cold. You understand? And when you meet weather, when you have cold weather, you always hear them talk about it. Because who was this? Oh, Ryan Clark was saying that, they were playing the San Diego Chargers at the time, and they were warming up on the sideline, and everybody, the Chargers guys, was kind of huddled together, trying to be closer, and James Harrison was laughing because he had his shirt off, he just had on the sweat, the T-shirt, and he's like, if that's worrying them now, we're gonna kill him in this game. and they blew them out. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's when it's cold, you have to be able to run the ball and really, if you can't do that, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Because cold and wind, it freaks you out. I never forget that 1985 playoff game, the Giants playing Chicago. And Phil Simpson and they still talk about that. Sean Landetta went to make a punt, and the wind blew he just sliced it because the wind blew the ball when he went to punt. They couldn't run the ball enough because Chicago had that stout, front seven, and the Giants just couldn't go on this because we couldn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
So if you can't run the ball in cold weather, if you don't have a really good running game in cold weather, 10-1 you're going to lose that game. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I just, to me, normally I like to say the divisional game should be close. This is just not lining up the right way. It's like, if Miami wasn't as banged up with Waddle, I'd feel a little bit better that they could try to manage with a short passing game. But Miami gonna have to try to get creative, and to me, this is lining up with the game that they struggled mightily against the 49ers. I look at it as this is what the game they had against the 49ers is the game I'm expecting them to have tonight, where they just can't figure out how to move the ball. Right. And Tua is going to look frustrated. I'm just saying it's I don't know where they're really running the ball tonight. That's the way they should be approaching it, but I don't think they're going to run 30 plus times tonight, and I don't think they're prepared for it. Whereas on the other hand, I think the Bills realize that James Cook is actually better than Devin Singletary. Not that Singletary's bad, but James Cook, he may not be as good as his brother Dalvin Cook on a Vikings, but he's looking pretty good as a back who can carry the ball 20 times a game. So to me, I think the Bills are going to try to bludgeon them and break them early. I think they're going to run it down their throat.
Yeah. Well, it's what they should do.
Because because the way the Bills took it to New England, if you remember how they handled that playoff game against New England early on in the playoffs last year, and how they just spanked New England, I think that's how they're going to approach this game. I think they're gonna ram it and try to blow them out early. My fear for this game is if it starts going off the rails early for Miami, they may just look to tap out. It's going to be cold, snowing. If Buffalo clicks early and they don't screw around the way they usually do with games, they finish the job in the first half the way that they thought they were going to do the last time they played in Miami.
Yeah, I know. Even though I like Josh Allen, I've always liked him, but I thought this season, I don't know if it's head in the clouds,
Yeah, it's the MVP talk.
Allen has made some dumb mistakes this season.
It's
that Vikings game. He's still got to show me what he was trying to do with that first interception.
I'm telling you, it is the
field goal, and that's it.
It is the MVP talk. I said it from the outset. People were already crowning him the MVP before the season even started.
He made, some dumb plays in that game. And you slam your helmet down and all that. I don't want to hear that shit. So he's gotta get out of that. Stop beating yourself. That's the problem. he's got to show me, you got to stop beating yourself late in those games. So if he can do that, I think this will be an easy game for them tonight. I don't see this game as close as people are thinking, because I think that Miami team.
Yeah, well, the public's taking the Miami side, because they see the line being a little bit wide, and they think that game could be, it could be way close. And I'm looking at it, I'm saying, the more this game keeps looking at it, I'm getting nervous about this game getting out of hand early. Like that's the other thing with the nightcap. I look at it and I say to myself, this may not be the game we hope to have where it's competitive. I'm a little concerned. I am a little concerned.
You want me to give you a joke? I know we didn't talk about this, but that San Francisco game, I saw it going just the way it went. I did not see how Miami could keep up. And I can tell you this, with all the things that people, and I know the Eagles are good, but that San Francisco team, unless they get injuries, if they don't win the Super Bowl, I know that guy is never going to win a Super Bowl. If they don't win the Super Bowl, because I still don't see how teams are going to play defense against this team.
Well, the one thing I'll say that complicates it is Debo. The Debo Samuel injury with because of his because of the injury, he's going to be. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Unless San Francisco is really, really dumb, Debo don't see the field until we're in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no question. He's done for the regular season.
Yeah, I keep him out. And depending on who we have in the first round game, I even keep him out then too. Because if we can't beat these teams without Debo, when we meet the tougher teams, we won't make it. But I'm telling you, barring injuries, if this guy don't win a Super Bowl with this team, because if you watch this team on offense, you really show me how you lining up a defense against this team. They can run the ball straight with anybody, and they can have play action.
You're a holiday powerhouse. You host the dinners, shovel neighbors' sidewalks, and make everything from scratch. You definitely don't need help making the holidays happen. But Duncan's Holiday Blend Coffee? A warming medium roast complete with sweet notes of dried fruit and molasses. Or a cranberry orange muffin made with real cranberries just might convince you? A little help never hurt. Especially the hot caffeinated kind. America runs on Duncan. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued and non-withdrawable free bets that expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio. Go live date. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Is that will drive you up the wall with these guys. It's unfair for a team to have Debo Samuel and still have Kittle and still have Juszczyk and still have McCaffrey. You have no idea, because the quarterback doesn't have to get back there. And this is why, I told people before that it's not Jimmy G. They can do this with somebody else.
Yeah.
They can do. It's not that. This is one thing that I can show people. It's the system, not the guy. Because I'm telling you, if you think you're going to take Brock Purdy and put him on the Giants and he's going to look that good,
no. But this is what I was going to say. This is what I was going to say. I keep saying this to people. Daniel Jones could run the 49ers offense and look very good doing it.
He could look like Tom Brady, especially the way he can run.
Yeah, like Daniel Jones could look good with a like. It's not that Daniel Jones is good. It's that with that system and those players, you could actually disguise it because you don't need to be a great passer of the ball. No. But if you can be a little bit mobile and just pick out a couple of short passes, yeah, you can run that offense.
It's discipline. They want you to do certain things, and you do it this way, it's gonna work, and that's the way they run that offense. And I'm telling you, I when people talked about Jimmy G, and when that guy came in, and people was like, oh, they don't know, and I'm like, oh, you don't know? I know. It's not Jimmy G. It's the system. But that's why I say if he don't win a Super Bowl this year, maybe he's never going to win one. Because every now and then he gets a little cute. I always remember that Atlanta Super Bowl with the Patriots, and that's one he got over cute.
Well, he got cute, but it was also Matt Ryan choking.
Well, let me tell you something. With all the nonsense that went on in that game, one play and they win the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan, for an experienced quarterback, cannot take that sack.
It's inexcusable.
You tell college quarterbacks things like this. You cannot take that sack. The things you can't do it, and you can't take a sack. You understand? You don't want to throw the ball out of bounds because you don't want to stop the clock, and you can't take a sack. And what does he do? He takes a sack. It's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
And he had time to get rid of that ball.
Mind-numbing.
And you can watch it again. He had time to get rid of the ball.
Oh, without question. All right, Callie, before I let you go, I got to get your thoughts on the World Cup because you got a more controversial view of the World Cup in general than most people. Because we got Argentina and France, and the narrative that it keeps annoying the hell out of me is the fact that people talk about this as, well, if Messi wins this World Cup, this settles the debate of who the GOAT is. And I want to say to those people, exactly how are we measuring the benchmark of Messi being the GOAT when he's played in more international games than most people ever will and has failed in most international competitions? The club competitions have become so much more prevalent in the modern era than what you used to have with Champions League and everything. Like, those weren't things 30, 40 years ago. This is a modern thing. So everyone keeps trying to apply an entirely different game of soccer, an entirely different economic view of soccer, because soccer was not the money pit, just the money generator that it is today, where you can get all these other competitions. We're going to get another World Cup for club teams that's not Champions League, but it's going to be the World Cup of club soccer, like whatever the hell that means, coming in a couple of years. It's like you're going to get all these random-ass competitions, and so it's not a knock on Messi, but it's a knock on the fact that we have almost zero historical context being used in our sports analysis, especially in soccer. And it's not just the American broadcast. This is a penalty flag on basically everyone. Because I think everybody's sucking at like doing this proper soccer coverage in a historical context.
The thing that really pisses me off, okay, is that I hear people who I think should know better. And look, I hate this thing with just saying somebody's the greatest and comparing them to this and that. Look, my idea of the greatest is, I always say, is when you start seeing people do things that you never saw before consistently. You know, before Dr. J started flying like from the free throw line, nobody ever did that before. When he started doing that, he was the most graceful thing I ever saw. You know. So you have these guys, you know, like that. And I always say, you always talk as though, well, you don't like this person. You know, like people might say, you don't like Messi. I don't have anything against Messi. He comes out there and he plays to the best of his ability. And Messi can only play within the system that he has. But that don't mean I'm not going to disagree with you when you tell me he's the greatest soccer player that you ever saw. I'm 71 years old. I saw young Pele. I saw Garantia. You understand? So don't tell me about these things. I saw Adiles. I saw Kempes. You see? So don't tell me. And these are Argentinians. I always tell people, Messi is not even the best Argentinian that I ever saw play soccer.
See. Here's the other problem, and I think it goes back to the historical context, because when it comes down to like Messi, the only other name he gets compared to is Maradona. Like no one actually knows like anything about Argentina soccer before Maradona. Like it's only Maradona, and then anyone else out there, it's Messi.
No. I always think Maradona is the best Argentinian I ever saw. I always thought that he was strong. You couldn't. You see, that's the other problem I have. Why I don't like to compare things. The world of soccer has changed. To me, a game I played and loved, I think it's like a girly game now. Guys get bounced and they hold their ankles when they got hit on the head, or they hold their head when they got hit on their ankles. They throw themselves on the ground and whine with pain like they... Hey, when Pele and them was playing, that was no foul. He get bounced off the ball. He get bounced off the ball. You had to protect your ball. You know? So it's not that I am against these guys. And I don't mind people saying they're really good and they're great and what. I don't have a problem. But as soon as you start telling me about, and I see this word, I want to get rid of it, GOAT. You know, I hate it. I absolutely hate it, because people, and it's unfair to the sportsman, because he doesn't call himself the greatest. It's the critics, and this one is the greatest, and it's nonsense. It's nonsense. You know, the World Cup finals now, I mean, and anybody, go back and watch the 1970 World Cup final. Or go back and watch the 1974 World Cup final between the Dutch and the Germans. I mean, you watch these games, and you tell me that this game where they have now, where they go to the half line, and next thing you know, they're passing the ball back to the goalkeeper, and everything is possession now, possession. But possession with no forward movement, you know, and the absolute bad defense play that I see in these games. It's like it's ridiculous. You know, bad mistakes by the goalkeepers, things that a goalkeeper in high school shouldn't be, mistakes that he shouldn't be making. It just drives me up the wall. Look at simple things like I have a problem with penalties. No, everybody, it's you trying to trick the goalkeeper. You trying to run up. They should stop that. It should be like it used to be. You spot the ball, you run up, you kick the ball. And goalkeepers never used to be able to save penalties. It used to score all the time because the guy used to hit him with power into the corner. You not getting down there at that ball. But now everybody tries to slide it in with the side of their foot, and the goalkeepers always, a lot of times, once they guess right, they'll get to it. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I feel sorry for the players because, like I say, with Messi, it's like either he's a hero or the villain. And I don't find it should be like that. Because some people think he gets too much praise and some people think he don't get enough praise. It's not that. It's just the everything with the internet now, everybody's an expert. And like I say with basketball, if you listen to some of these guys talk, you would swear basketball was born in 1990. It's amazing. They exclude everything. All those great Celtics teams, the great Lakers teams, nobody ever remembers stuff like that. And it pisses me off. It absolutely pisses me off. The way they talk. Oh, this one should be on should be on Mount Rushmore. To hell with the Mount Rushmore. Because you know what? Unless you're going to change the rules and let everybody play under the same rules, I don't want to hear that shit. Because that simple thing like boxing, you want to talk about the greatest, are you going to go send them back to 550 rounds? I don't want to hear this. Stop it. Just let's enjoy the thing. And you can say a guy is great, but stop it with this one is the GOAT and this one is if Messi wins the World Cup, he'll be cemented as the greatest player of all time. And guess what's going to happen? 10 years from now, when Messi's an old guy, somebody up front there is going to be saying the same nonsense about a guy who's probably much less talented than him, but has more, the same thing as he has, the internet.
But you know why? Because they don't want to do context. They don't want to do nuance. They want to have arguments. They want to do the embrace debate. They want to do the Stephen A. Smith, the Skip Bayless arguments where one guy takes one side, the other guy takes the other. It's like, this is why this guy's the greatest. No, this is why this guy's the greatest. They don't want to do the context of what did they do in their era? What did they kind of break? No, they don't want to have that convo. They don't want to do nuance. Nuance doesn't sell, Pop.
It's like I heard Steve Young the other day saying, they was talking about the Cowboys and whatever, and he said something that I agreed with. He said the Cowboys are famous for no good reason. America's team, the star, he said they are famous for no good reason, and that's why year after year they disappoint because they're not supposed to be where they put them. You understand? So it's ridiculous. I'm telling you, sometimes I get so ticked off listening to the radio with soccer, with basketball, with football, and the way people who you're supposed to be in authority, because people, you always think that, well, a guy's on the radio, he's on TV, he's got to know all. No, he doesn't.
A lot of times they tend to be more trolls. They like to be more provocateur than actually explain the knowledge that they do have about the game itself.
Look, let me tell you something. It have certain guys when they go, and they're going because John Madden's gone, and a lot of these other older guys, when they're gone, that's all we're gonna have is, like you said, these trolls that the player that they think that they like. That's what they're gonna be feeding you. You understand? They're not actually feeding you things from the sport. They take things from what they think. That's how it's gonna be, because that's like I said, that's one of the problems I have now. And I always tell people, talent alone can't be greatness. You understand? Talent alone can't be greatness. Because if it was that, guys like David Thompson and them would be some of the greatest basketball players we ever saw. They had some of the greatest talent, but it wasn't because they had no discipline. So, but if I'm a commentator and I have some influence, I could start telling you that this so and so was this and so was that. So I hope it's a good game tomorrow. It's not like I'm going to be running under the TV to watch it because there's going to be NFL football too. But I just hope it's a good game, because the last couple of World Cups, they were underwhelming for me. The last couple of finals, they were very underwhelming finals. So I hope I get a really good game. The quarterfinals and the semifinal games were much better than some of the others. So I'm hoping that that final tomorrow, it should be a good final. It should be a good final. Mbappe against Messi, which that's the way they always frame it, which I don't, because
it's that French back line versus the couple of forwards that Argentina's going to roll out there. If Di Maria or Saul Alvarez, because Messi's going to try to pick some of those guys out. I want to see if France keeps Konate back in there, because he's a better defensive placement than Udo Pencampo, who was just getting cooked most of the tournament. I think Konate should have been playing the entire way through. To me, the French back line looked way better in the semifinals than they had in most of the tournament. It's like, why are some of these guys not starting? To me, I think some of these guys should have been playing ahead of Pavard and whatnot. It's like,
well, it's the same thing. Like I say, while people are talking about Messi, I think Alvarez is the guy. If I'm France, is the guy I'm worried about.
Yeah, I think realistically, between the squad, I think the difference makers for Argentina, yeah, it's Messi, but I'm looking at Enzo Fernandez and I'm looking at Alvarez. I think those are the X factors in the matchup. Can they, when they have the ball in space, can they cause enough disruption for France that they have to kind of peel off? Because if France can advance forward and get Mbappe loose, where Griezmann doesn't have to track back, and they can just keep pinging the ball and go, to me, this becomes. I think France takes it pretty heavily if they can just keep attacking. If France can blitz, if France is allowed to blitz without feeling the fear of getting punished, I think France puts up a couple of goals, and this is not that close of a game. I think it comes down to when Argentina has possession, can they put the fear into France that, no, you actually have to be responsible with your attack and be more respectful of what we can do on the counter? Because, yes, do I think Argentina is going to have the possession quite often. Yes, I actually do think they're going to let Messi have the ball. But when France sees an opportunity to just go for it, I think France is going to pull the trigger more than people are expecting them to do. I think people think this game's going to start out slow and no one's going to make a move. I think France is going to try to press the advantage early if they think they see an opening with Argentina and don't let Argentina settle into the game.
Yeah. And the other thing Argentina's got to watch is that Mbappe, he's not waiting to get right inside the score. He is shooting from outside, and he hits it really good. So if he's around the 18-yard box, look out, he can hit it. So they gotta be. They're gonna have to watch that because he hits it, and the other problem they have with him is that he draws so much attention to himself when he's in the box that it allows, because you saw it with that first goal that they score, that ball just rolled on the other, he got a gift. But it was because of the amount of attention Mbappe was getting. So like I say, I hope it's a good game, but I like I say, soccer drives me up the wall sometimes with the way how it's played now. So I hope we don't get one of those, because everything is analytics now. So-and-so had so much and so much of the possessions. But for some reason, with all that possessions they had, the goalkeeper was only required to make one save. And the save they're talking about is a ball that rolls back to him. So I don't go crazy, because I think what happens now is that when they roll out all the statistics, if you didn't see the game, you kind of like, oh my God, that game must be really, really good, because look, they dominated them. No, they didn't. They just held the ball. It's not like they were pressing the other team. They just held possession of the ball. Spain is famous for that. Like so much and so much of the possessions, but they didn't do anything with it. And that just drives me crazy now. With thing. I guess I'm too old for the analytics. I know soccer was about when forwards pick up the ball, they come forward. That's why they call it forwards. They come forward and challenge your defenders.
Hey, Callie, we've had this discussion about Erling Haaland and that he might be the last striker left in the game of soccer. We've had this conversation.
Yeah, he looks. People talk about him. Oh, hey, all he's doing is what he's supposed to do. You're a striker. Don't allow them to keep you mark you in the box easily. He bullies his way. When he gets the ball, he sticks his elbows out and he makes room for himself. And he don't care if the ball comes off his shin, if it comes off his studs. If that ball is coming across the box, I am getting some part of my boot or something to it, and it doesn't matter if it rolls in or whatever. It goes over the line, it's a goal. All of them is power shots in the box scores. You never can tell. It's a goal. And that's what I like about him. He doesn't care if it comes in the air. He gets it with his head. Anything. That's how... That was how a striker was. If anybody ever saw Gert Muller play, that's how he scored all those goals. He never anything. Don't make a mistake in the box. He's gonna score. Kenny Dalglish. Anybody who ever watched Premier League, but it wasn't Premier League in those days. But Kenny Dalglish, I said, how that little guy could score all those goals? Don't make a mistake in the box. Don't make a mistake in the box. he'll score. Ian Rush, another guy. These guys were deadly goal scorers. And everything wasn't that they dribbled and they score. No, it comes in the box, they'll put it away. They never used to have much near misses. There was not much near misses with those guys. So like I said, I have seen so many people, and the reason I know some of these people is good is some of these people's guys that I hated. Everybody in Manchester United I hated, and George Best was. I mean, that guy could just dribble that ball, and he was so good. And I used to always want him to fail, and that's how I know that he was. I used to always root against him.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to disrupt your train of thought, but like you were before the show recorded, you wanted to talk through the sequence he had against Benfica, because like you wanted to talk through that one.
I'm telling you, I don't remember exactly what year it was. It was still, all the TVs in my country, in Trinidad, was black and white in those days. So, I was watching that European Cup final, and yeah, he made a solo run. It wasn't extra time because the game went into extra time. And, he made a solo run that, let me see. It has solo runs that I always talk about. Tostao did it twice in 1970 in the 1970 World Cup. Once against England, and the other one was against Mexico. George Best did it in that European Cup final. Maradona did it in the '86 World Cup, where you just have that ball as like a string, and you just going by people. It's like, how come somebody can't tackle him? And it's like, and George Best just like weave and weave and weave and weave. And you tell yourself somebody's going to tackle him, somebody. And just slides it in the goal. It was one of the best ever. And like I tell you, all the way through that, I was rooting, kick him down, kick him down.
I want to say that was 68, but I could be wrong.
European Cup final. Yeah, it could be 68. It could be 68 because that was the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that might have been the first English team to win the European Cup final. Because in those days, Real Madrid on them was, there was something else, So, but I know that it was Manchester United's first. And I was actually rooting for Benfica, or Eusebio on them. I was rooting for them. But they beat them. The game was it was 1-1 at full time, and it went into extra time, and I think Manchester beat them 3-1 or something like that. Yeah. But George Best, that last goal, I mean, if you ever get that highlight, you can watch it. I mean, you won't get it as clean as you get it now because it's the old thing with probably grainy looking and thing, but man, he was something else. And this is one of the problems I have with soccer now. Soccer, in my days, you had these great dribblers. Garancha, George Best, there was a Yugoslavian called Hungarian called Puskas. Those guys could just weave with that ball. You don't see that anymore. Guys don't, because as great as Pelé was, Pelé could dribble, but the Brazilians, Garancha and him was always better. Pelé was just the better all-round player. He was good at everything, So that's why they called him the greatest, because they could do things, but there's things he could do that people they didn't used to see it before. And that's why I always say Pelé was the greatest thing I ever saw, But you don't see, and that's why I think they don't have good defenders no more. I don't think the forwards now put the defenders on the defensive enough, to make them as good as they should be. I think guys get beat now easy, but forwards don't run at them. If you go back and look at that, the last good guy I saw with taking care of defenders was in that 1978 World Cup. Argentina had a guy called Kempes. If he gets that ball with two guys in front of him, it's a goal. He had one of the best crossover dribbles to get rid of two defenders that you can see. Because when he goes 1-2, that third one is a shot. And most of the time it's in the back of the net. He would just run one guy, run the other, and hit one time. He was the last good guy I saw doing that. But I think the standard of football has gone down. Maybe people might want to commit me to a sanitarium for that, because the only soccer is, and they see so much of it now. It's look, to me, the standard of soccer has gone down. I think the standard of basketball has gone down. Baseball and football. And if and I guess everybody's gonna tell me I'm old-fashioned and that was too dangerous. And yeah, you could be right. You could be right, because you can't throw beanballs and thing anymore, and so yeah, you could be right safety-wise. But I think those guys were better. I think all the sports now, yes, they're doing things for the safety, but I think people take advantage and they are very soft.
Hey, Callie, are you trying to say that Anthony Davis leaving another game last night was a sign of being soft?
I don't want to talk about that. I watched the thing and I said, street clothes. Street clothes. Look.
The best nickname ever.
I know people are going to say, you old-fashioned guys, that's why guys are walking with canes and why everything. Of course, you may be walking with a cane too. You don't know yet. Because maybe something else. But I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous the way things are now with some of these players. Nobody plays through anything. And is he hurt? Yeah, he may be hurt. But Jesus Christ, man, you got to be kidding me.
Are you injured? There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. And some of these guys, it's clearly obvious that they are not looking to do what they want to do to be competitive on a nightly basis. That's the truth.
Look, let me tell you something, and like I said, I'm glad people are getting the money and things. But you got to tell me, what is the point of I having Tyrod Taylor as a quarterback? Has he ever really gone through a season without being on the injured list 3, 4, 5 games? Well, I know in the last 5 to 6 years, he hasn't made it. The only time he's not on the injury list is if he's on the sideline with a clipboard. And I'm surprised somebody didn't run into him and injure him on the sideline. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can't be that soft. I mean, your team, there's guys out there depending on you. And you don't want to play through anything at all? I have a problem with that. I mean, Daniel Jones gets injured. How the hell you can't play more than 3 snaps? Next thing I hear, the backup quarterback is playing. I'm like, Hey, wait a minute. I know I'm watching Red Zone, but they don't go away for that long. How the hell the next quarterback is it? Next thing I hear, he's injured too. He has a concussion. It's ridiculous. Well, you play 3 plays? Something's wrong with that.
It's hard. It's hard, Kelly. What can I say? It's hard.
Well, if it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. I'd go here on Sundays. There's a reason why it's only a chosen few. I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. I like I say, I may sound like an old fogey, but look, it's the reason why people pay to come and watch you or sit at home and watch you, and they're not just, in Central Park watching guys play tag football. There's a reason for that, because it's only a few can do it. If it was easy, we all would be doing the same damn thing. So, I don't know. So, like I say, I hope it's a good game tomorrow. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but stop it with the if certain things happen. Okay, let's say it like this, okay? France wins the World Cup tomorrow. Where's Mbappe in being the greatest? Because he will already have 2, and 2 in a row. Where do you put him?
Uh-oh.
Since Messi hasn't even won 1. He has been in a final already. He hasn't won 1 World Cup. Okay? Where does that leave him?
You're embracing the debate, Kelly.
If you want to put it, Pelé has never lost a World Cup. Any World Cup he has been in, they've won. So, you're telling me if he wins 1, and oh, by the way, Pelé only played in 3 World Cups. Okay? And 4. But you can't really count because in 2 of them, he was injured. He started, but he didn't finish. He didn't finish the 66 World Cup because they damaged him. And I think it's the 50... What is it, 54? Or the 56 World Cup, he got injured in the early rounds, and Brazil went on to win, but he wasn't a part of it. He was on the team, but he didn't play for long. He got injured early, and that Garancha and Vava and them took over that World Cup and just ran away with it. So but he was there in 52 and he was there in 70. He played right through those World Cups. And they won. So, like I said, where would that put Mbappe? If you're telling me, if Messi gets his hand on his first one, he's the greatest of all time. So, what are these guys? What would happen if Mbappe wins? And wins his second one in a row? Because then you may be looking forward to the next World Cup. He's young enough to play in another one, but the way how, things is. So when they start saying these stuff, you setting yourself up for, the what ifs. Because you're telling me all the time before, you know what a lot of those Messi people say? Well, the World Cup is not what it used to be. You don't need a World Cup to be one of the greatest. That's what they used to say. I heard enough of that argument. Now all of a sudden, the World Cup is the thing. If he wins this one, he's the greatest of all time. That's just when you want to do something. that's the old Donald Trump thing. Nobody ever saw this before I did it. The old Donald Trump. Everything he did, it's the greatest, and nobody ever saw it before. So I'm not gonna go crazy about that. But like I say, I can't hold it against Messi because it
ain't him. It's the media.
Yeah, it ain't him. I would never blame the player for it. Like, I hate that guy because so and so and so and so. I mean, like I said, when I was a kid, I hated teams, and I wanted the players to do bad. But I always appreciated the good when they played. Like I say, I hated Manchester United, but I always say George Best is one of the best I saw. So. And like I always tell people, I always say one of the best. The only soccer player, when I talk about him, I say is the greatest Pelé. I think he's the greatest I ever saw. But all the others are one of the best. One of the best. Maradona, one of the best. All these, one of the best I ever saw. And there's a lot of one of the best. There's a lot of them. I saw Franz Beckenbauer break his hand in the 1970 semifinal against Italy and strap it onto his chest and play the rest of the half and extra time with that. And if all the young guys around our area tried doing that after it happened, and it's the most amount of people that fell down. Yeah, you don't want to play with one hand and strapped to your chest. You don't have any balance.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine how the hell you run with a hand across your chest. It's every time you try to cut, I would be tilting.
Google and watch the 1970 semifinal. Italy versus West Germany. And you would want to know, how the hell is he doing that? He strapped it on and he kept playing with that one hand, with just that. And he was distributing passes. And I mean, I tried it. I tried it. You used to see guys, you would die laughing after that to see how many guys putting their hand by their chest and trying to run. Fall down. I'm telling you. So like I said, when people talk about the greatest this and the greatest that and the greatest this, I have a lot of one of the greatest, a great player, but when you're saying the greatest, there's only two people I always talk about the greatest. I always talk Pelé and Muhammad Ali. That's it. It's two. Pelé and Muhammad Ali. And I stop right there. So, I don't like to get into the... Like I say, I hate arguing errors because... You talk about LeBron James, you talk about Michael Jordan. They did not play under the same rules. A triple-double with Oscar Robertson, which he used to average, is not that nonsense that goes on now with Russell Westbrook.
Hey, just because all of his teammates jump out of the way so he can get the rebound, doesn't mean that rebound's worth any less on the stat sheet.
But you see, what I laugh at when people talk about these things, in Oscar Robertson days, they didn't used to count that. So it's not like he was doing it for stats. There is a count those things. You see? So it's not like you can say, oh, he only did that to pad his stats. There was no such thing as stats for that. He just did that. And he averaged that every season. You see? So, can I blame Russell Westbrook? No. They have it as a stat sheet now. They have it there. So, he does it. It goes into the books. You can only play under the rules that they have. So I can't blame him for that. But I just shake my head when people come now and starts arguing like this is a thing. For me, that's not a thing. Well, he has to be one of the greatest because he averaged so and so and so and so and so and so. I just shake my head at those things because I don't want to tell you don't know what you're talking about, but you know what? You don't know what you're talking about. So, anyway, son.
Yeah. We'll catch up later on, because we got these games coming up. So
I'm gonna see if I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, I think this is the beginning of the end for Miami. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. All right. Okay.
All right. Take it easy, Callie.
Okay. All right.
Right. Bye. All right. So there you have it. Like his thoughts on the matchups. But, I think there's a lot to unpack with how soccer gets covered. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty how the media coverage vilifies players and overpraises. And soccer's one of the worst offenders of this. And Messi's one of the classic examples of that. I just don't. I don't see how they go through it in that fashion. But it is what it is. But I know this was a lengthy discussion, so we'll do a brief run through again of how I'm looking in terms of the NFL plays today. Again, I like the Colts, not that because I want to bet them heavily, but it's 3 games today, so you can throw the Colts. You don't even have to bet on the other games today, but you can throw this into a teaser for later tomorrow. But I like the Colts, and I like teasing it up, so you can get this line up to 10, and just you throw it into a teaser, get the Colts side up to 10, make the Vikings have to win by 10, use that as one of your teasers. I still have reservations about the Browns. They should be able to beat the Ravens, but again, easily could throw this into a teaser. And then, on the Buffalo side, I think they take care of business against Miami. I know this line's 7, and I know people have doubts about the Bills. I do, because I've seen them screw around enough games. This is a 3-team teaser. You just throw those teams in there. It's, to me, you take the dogs. You could throw the tease the Bills side down so that it's only a point that they got to win by. I got no issues with that because I think the Bills win. Like, if Miami shows up, they show up. But I think there's a real chance Miami gets blown out today. And with that in mind, the reason why I kind of look at the DFS lineups today, I'm looking at, sadly, I'm looking at Matt Ryan and I'm looking at Kirk Cousins because I think that first game is probably the best game from a passing environment standpoint. Being in the Dome, I know the score isn't necessarily that high, but when you kind of go through the paces, I kind of look at it from the standpoint of, I think there's a way to get there. More often than not, it's just it's a case of how does it ultimately line up? And I just think that from my standpoint, the best way of putting up points today is with that first game. And I like the Colts passing attack against the Vikings secondary that gives up tons of yards. I think Kirk Cousins is still going to get bailed out by Justin Jefferson. I think Matt Ryan can still put up counting stats. So to me, I think Cousins and Matt Ryan are the best DFS plays, not actual QBs, but just from a fantasy standpoint, I think they put up the biggest numbers. And you go from there, you use Justin Jefferson. I don't think Stephon Diggs is even needed tonight for the Bills. That's why, to me, the Bills game is the one I'm just kind of like staying off of. It's a snow game. If anything, I'm playing James Cook or Devin Singletary. I'm focusing my offensive tools on between the Colts and the Vikings. the Baltimore game's kind of an island game where you can look at a J.K. Dobbins getting work in the run game now that he's back off of IR and he had a game in. I think he's going to start getting more of the workload over Gus Edwards, and we go from there. But, yeah, I'm targeting this early game. So I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor. I'm looking at Pittman. I'm looking at Alec Pierce. You can do Parrish Campbell as well. And Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson definitely in play. I would rank it at Jefferson by far, number 1 for the Viking side. Hawkinson 2 and Thielen 3. But, yeah, I'm playing Kirk Cousins at QB. It's a good matchup for both QBs. These other QB matchups I don't like nearly as much. I don't like Tua tonight. I don't necessarily like Josh Allen tonight because, again, the weather isn't going to be great. This is a run the ball type of game tonight in Buffalo. I don't know if Miami going to hang that way. So that's all I got, folks. It's been a lengthy conversation, and I know this episode's running long, so I'm going to get this uploaded because folks are going to be wondering, like, what happened with the plays today? Well, we had a good old-fashioned discussion throughout, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But until next time, have a good one, and enjoy the games.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and all major outlets.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare is here, and so is Mountain Dew.
Roger that.
Now you can unlock in-game rewards like only Dew can.
Wait, what rewards?
A Dew Operator Skin.
Man, I love Operator Skins.
Dual double XP, and even Call of Duty points.
You're kidding me. Double XP and Call of Duty points? This is incredible. I can't believe it.
Soldier, get a hold of yourself.
Oh, roger that.
Look for specially marked packaging and visit mtndewgaming.com for details and restrictions. Open to U.S. residents 17 plus. Call of Duty points available on 12 and 24 packs and 3/20/23.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued and non-withdrawable free bets that expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio. Go live date. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.